Hi, I'm Adam Nitti, and I'm an artist and bass clinician for D'Addario, and I wanted to talk to you about chordal improvisation. And that's a topic I really enjoy talking about at bass clinics that I do. I always get a lot of questions about improvising and how to play over changes and in different musical contexts. And something that always ends up coming up is, how do you know what to play when you're soloing over a certain type of chord? And I just wanted to break that down a little bit today, speak specifically about how to solo over a minor 7 chord. And of course, a minor 7 chord is just one particular chord type of many, but it's a great place to start for those of you who have some experience with scale forms and improvisation already. Chordal improvisation is kind of it's kind of two things in one. It can be looked at as sort of the next level beyond your understanding of modal and linear-based improvisation, or it could also be looked at as the foundation and the most basic improvisational idea from which these other ideas are derived. So it sort of has dual purpose there. But to get started with it, let me play something that would be considered more linear. And for most of us, that means getting into the world of scales and modes. Almost everyone's heard of the modes of the major scales, even if they don't know what they are or how to use them. It seems to, for whatever reason, be a hot topic in discussion of bass and improvisation-related ideas. The thing that you have to remember about the modes of the major scale is that they are all connected. They are interconnected as part of a particular key center's family. And a lot of us have been playing and improvising for a long time just based on scale forms and nothing else. The modes of the C major scale, for example, they take on a very distinct visual and harmonic order across the fingerboard of the bass when you look at them laid out, sitting one by one next to each other. And in the key of C major, the modal order would start from the root C, C Ionian, then moving to D, which is the 2, C is the 1, D is the 2, this is D Dorian. This is E Phrygian. This is F Lydian. G Mixolydian. This is A Aeolian. Sorry. This is B Locrian. And then we're back to C Ionian, which is an octave above where we started before. Now, the thing that linear ideas and modal ideas do for you is that they allow you to incorporate a whole lot of movement across the fingerboard and stay in the same key center. And that's an obvious advantage for a stringed instrument player, because we don't ever want to get caught up in playing only from root perspectives. If I have a C minor chord that I want to solo over, what I want to make sure of is that I don't always have ideas that sound like they derive from a C note. For example, this is what you wouldn't want to do. As you can hear, most everything I'm playing is hinging off of a C note. Even though the C's are being played in different octaves, that's still my safety net. It sounds like I'm always deriving ideas from there, and that's not altogether good. As a soloist and as an improviser, you want your ideas to say something. It's like speaking a language. You want to make sure that you're able to converse with other people that speak that same language. And in order to do that, you use different and hopefully creative combinations of words, sentences, and phrases in order to convey a particular idea or convey a particular emotion. The same applies to this instrument right here, and you want to make sure that you're speaking in a way that's not just at a kindergarten level, which is sort of what the idea of just playing from the root is. That's a very basic and very elementary way to play. A better approach is to play in a way that has you starting from different degrees, so that your phrases don't always sound like they're rooted from the same foundational note every time. So an idea like that might sound something like this. Now, hopefully that sounded more like an idea that was much more free and much more musically liberating. Hopefully that's what I hope to convey in playing in that way. And as you could hear, I wasn't always beginning with a C note. I was sometimes beginning with an E flat, sometimes with a D, sometimes with an F. Different notes that were still related to the same key center, but they provided different launching points for me to begin my phrases from. That is what a modal approach will do for you. It will allow you to move all up and down the neck like I just did, staying in the same key center, and you have freedom to move all around. The interconnection of those modes can be practiced. And that's cool because it allows you to cover a lot of real estate. But in my opinion, where you really start to take things to a new level is when you use the approach of chordally based improvisation. And what you're doing there is, instead of just using scales that come from the order of modes that you might already know, instead you're using the actual harmonized chords from that key center and using those arpeggio forms instead to improvise. And an example of what I'm talking about, if we're still using this C minor 7 chord as the chord that we're soloing over, what I'm doing is I'm going to treat the C note, the root of that chord, I'm treating that as a 2. And the reason I'm treating that as a 2 is it lines up the second mode, Dorian, with the sound that sits nicely over a C minor 7 scale. And if you don't know this already, as far as scale choices go, Dorian makes a great default idea to use if you don't know what else to play. It's a scale that definitely sounds really good, and you hear it traditionally played in jazz and other improvisational types of music. So now we're kind of looking at everything as sort of evolving from this Dorian sound. Well, if C is being treated as a 2, then you have to ask yourself, what is 1? Because that will reveal what the key center is. So if C is 2, that makes B flat the 1. So if you harmonize a B flat major scale, and we're harmonizing B flat major because that's where the major scale is found, right? Dorian begins on the 2, Ionian begins on the 1, and Ionian is where the major scale begins, and the major scale is what we're harmonizing in order to find this family of chords that are going to work for this approach. So if I harmonize the B flat major scale, this is what I have. I have a B flat major 7 chord, followed by a C minor 7 chord, which we just decided that was going to be the chord that we're playing over. Then we have a D minor 7 after that. Then we have an E flat major 7 after that. Then Then we have an F dominant 7 chord, G minor 7, an A minor 7 flat 5, and then we're back to the beginning at B flat major 7. Now I just played all those in chord form. But you can also play them with arpeggios, and arpeggios are nothing more than broken chords. So if I play 1 octave arpeggios from each of those harmonized scale tones, B flat major 7, C minor 7, D minor 7, E flat major 7, F dominant 7, G minor 7, A minor 7 flat 5, and then back to B flat major 7. Now I've got 7 individual arpeggios that are all compatible improvisational ideas with this C minor 7 chord. And if you listen to each one of them played individually, you'll notice that each has its own character. Here's the sound of the B flat major 7 chord over a C minor 7 chord. This is the arpeggio, remember. Now, if I was going to improvise using only a B flat major 7 arpeggio, you're going to hear that my ideas take on a much more open sound. It's almost inquisitive in nature, the way the phrasing comes across. And this is how something like that might sound. Almost sounds like a question is being asked. And that's how it hits my ears musically. But it's a much different sound than the very linear, scalar type of those notes. That even though it has a more closed sound, has a completely different character than this. Most of us haven't experimented as much with the more open sound of using arpeggios. What I encourage you to do is spend time practicing each one of these individual arpeggios over that same static chord, and they will reveal a new family of sounds and compatible ideas that you can use that are going to differ greatly from the sound of just you doing modal improvisation. So let's go through each of those one by one. We just did B flat major 7, so the next one in line would be C minor 7. That one sounds very inside and much more basic, because what we're doing is we're only playing the notes in the chord that's being comped, right? So if you play only within the C minor 7 chord tones, it's going to sound as basic as the very first ideas that I was demonstrating before that were very root oriented. So we know we got that one covered. The next one in line is D minor 7. This is going to have another unique sound of its own. Next one in line is E flat major 7. The next one in line is going to be F dominant 7. Once again, all of these arpeggios are being played over a single static C minor 7 chord. Next one in line is A minor 7 flat 5, or A half diminished. Sorry. And then that's the last one. After that, we've got the B flat major 7 again, which we did first. And that's, once again, 7 individual ideas that are based on chords, right? Arpeggios are broken chords, so they're based on the chords and not just scale forms. And hopefully, through my demonstration, you've heard how much more open that sounds. And if you've never tried that before, it'll completely change your playing. You combine things like chordal improvisation approaches like this with what you already know to have under your fingers as linear or modal ideas, scalar approaches, and what that does is it really makes your sound that much more seasoned sounding, and it gives you a much larger bag of tricks to choose from when you improvise.